Boom, baby. One more time. Two more offensive linemen hit West Virginia today out of the portal. One of them is one of the best linemen in state history, a transfer from the ACC. This is big time.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in for the second time today. My name's Mountaineer Paul. This is Locked On West Virginia. I can be Locked On West Virginia too, whatever. Brought to you by Game Time. Of course, Game Time. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your very first purchase. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team every single day. The Mountaineers, as we like to call them. Okay, so West Virginia has added two players out of the transfer portal so far. Maybe more to come. And these both are going to play at some point in time for the Mountaineers, especially the second one. Let's get to the first one first. The first transfer to come in today was Youngstown State transfer, offensive lineman, a West Virginia native, who is just a hoss cat, man. You look at this kid, he's from Clarksburg, by the way, 6'6". 330 pounds. I mean, he's a huge dude, man. From Robert C. Byrd, he spent 2 years at Youngstown State, took a redshirt year, and this past season he saw action in the game for Youngstown State early on. He is going to be a preferred walk-on out of the portal, from my understanding, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't see his way onto the field. This is a huge, huge kid. I mean, he's big, man. Can really play, and I just wouldn't be shocked if he didn't find his way to the field at some point in time for the Mountaineers. And look, you go turn on the tape. What is it about Wyatt Minor that really makes him go for me? It's the length. He's got a lot of length. He's got a lot of athleticism for a guy his size. And I think he's going to continue to do that. So just keep that in mind as we continue through with Wyatt Minor, as he is a preferred walk-on. He may need an extra couple years to kind of get it rolling, but he's going to get it rolling. The number two guy, who this is the one you guys are kind of waiting for, I think, a huge commitment out of NC State, transfer portal, Robby Martin from Huntington, West Virginia, which is right close to where I'm from. This is a 6'3", 302-pound guard that is a pancaking machine. You go turn on the high school tape, and he just drives dudes into the ground every other play. And he obviously had his pick of schools coming out. Chose North Carolina State in a very slim margin over West Virginia the first time around, and was the number one player in the state. And it really wasn't that close. He was an all-state kid. And just wanted to go to North Carolina State, I guess maybe to get out of West Virginia and see what that was like. He goes to the Wolfpack, spends 1 year there, takes a redshirt year, and will now have all 4 years of eligibility remaining. He came to visit Morgantown 2 days ago and then spent the last couple of days mulling over what he wanted to do. I'm also told that Marshall is definitely was in the picture here for this guy. And look, he's from, and Marshall's got a lot of excitement around it right now. So it wouldn't have been shocking if I don't know. If you ask me, it would have been shocking for Robby Martin to have committed to Marshall. But certainly, man, I'm a big time believer in timing, and right now the timing was right with the new staff coming in, with the new mindset the staff is going to have. All that stuff really truly matters, man. And I just think, look, what does Robby Martin do for us? Well, a few things, really. It's Number one, you get somebody who can push for playing time this year. I think he's a guy that can play right away. He's already got a year in a Power 4 program, getting his body ready. And I'll tell you what, too, on top of that, he is really talented. Like, he's not your typical, I don't want to say this wrong because we've had an incredible run of in-state talent come in. Wyatt Milam, Doug Nestor, right? Zach Frazier, and more. Even Wyatt Minor and now Robby Martin. Like, we're about to be Westford. We're about to be offensive lineman U. Like, seriously, this offensive line, it's a state that churns them out, baby. And we get to pick of the litter almost every year. So I'm glad we didn't overlook a kid like Robby Martin, who was no doubt going to be a stud for West Virginia on the offensive line at some point in time. I can't believe we got him. I thought it was going to be a few years down the road when we maybe had another chance. I certainly didn't expect it to be 1 year. But you know what, man? Sometimes 1 year away from home feels like a lot longer than it really is. And apparently in this case, Robby Martin was like, no, I'm ready to come home, man. His skill set, I would say, is what's the thing about him that stands out the most? I would say the long arms that he has. He's got huge, huge long arms when you watch him on tape. So what long arms do, especially at the guard spot, is it allows a guard to make contact. Because in offensive line work, it's a lot of it has to do with who makes contact first, who gets their hand on who first. Similar to a lot of things, right? It's the lowest man wins, but obviously hand placement is a huge deal in offensive line work because you need to manipulate people. And long arms, like there are certain GMs that won't draft people if their arms aren't a certain length. It was one of the big things. Like I can remember the kid that came out of Wisconsin a few years ago that went to the Cowboys at center. The big thing about him, Stefanski, or however he says his last name, it's been 10 years ago. One of the big things about him was he had really, really short arms. And he ended up being an all-pro, so he overcame that. But long arms, man, they give you a ton of advantages. So continue to watch for Robby as he develops. And those arms, man, are going to come big into play for West Virginia. Big news, man, really big news. I think, you start to look at it now, and I think what we'll do is let's go over all these transfers one more time in the next segment because, look, there's a lot going on, man. There really is. And I think you look at it, maybe not even, I don't know, a week and a half ago, was it? I mean, it wasn't long ago. And you start, and people were freaking out saying that we weren't going to have anybody this year. That's not the case anymore, right? I mean, West Virginia is crushing the transfer portal right now. So I don't know. I'm a big fan of what they're doing in the portal right now, and there's a lot to like about it. I mean, personally, I think another thing that isn't being brought up enough either is the kind of players they're bringing in. Like a lot of these guys are what I would consider to be just a tad under recruited at times, but definitely not bad players or, like these aren't they're just some of these guys are underdogs, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. Now some of them aren't too. Like, the Harrington kid yesterday, he was at Oklahoma, he was at Washington, but some of these guys are like Wyatt Minor, big underdog. So I like that. And I think that's when West Virginia's been great. We've had those kind of teams. Let's talk about all the transfers and the guys that are visiting today. We've got a couple guys on campus today. I've got updates on both of those guys. You won't want to miss them. Stick around. This is Locked On West Virginia. And this episode is going to be brought to you by FanDuel. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets That's guaranteed. $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same game parlays, and so much more. Visit the website and share betting lines around your team or league. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $250 or $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the National Football League. All right, so on the heels of this Robby Martin White minor news, let's look at the transfer tracker that I have in our little group chat, which I want to thank Dylan and Chaz and young Jerry West enthusiast for. Those guys keep me updated on pretty much everything that's going on. And so I've written down a list here just of things that I have as far as notes I have on transfers and who's came and when. So you start off, let's go in reverse. Obviously, today you've got Robby Martin at today on the 11th, and he committed from NC State, former Huntington, West Virginia star. Today, also on the 11th, you've got Wyatt Minor. So, and I'm missing somebody else, aren't I? You know what? I forgot about that. I totally forgot about one player that committed today that just slid right by me. I'm glad I looked at my list. Holy cow, man. How did I forget that? And the thing is in my DMs, he told me he was committing today. I totally forgot Davion Walker, the transfer wide receiver. Man, I just can't believe I missed out on that, but that's okay. Let's talk about Davion Walker he's from Georgia. He was Butler County Community College. Let's go ahead and get into this commitment. Davion. So Davion Walker. So look, I've been for a week. Can't believe I forgot about this. I guess I had planned on going live and doing this deal about about Walker, and the Robby Martin news came up and bit me, and it just shook me up in my head because I didn't have a lot of time because I set the live literally right before for 6:30, right before Robby Martin came up. So I had other things in mind. And then when that happened, I'm like, oh gosh, let me get in here and study some tape. Let me get in here and look at this really quick. So I kind of got off track. But yeah, so let's talk about Davion Walker out of Butler County Community College. This is a JUCO guy, 6'2", 200 pounds. West Virginia offered him pretty early on in January, right around the 3rd or the 4th. I have written down there. Took the official, and then he told me after the official visit that West Virginia had him. Like I knew, I have the screenshots. I could probably show you. Let me see here. I knew he was coming for quite a long time. And the only thing is he was supposed to commit Sunday, and he ended up committing today instead. So, so that's the thing here. Let's see. All right. So while that pulls up, and I love his name on there, by the way. So, all right. And so as you can see, well, let me get my screen up here. I like to do this, and for those of you that are new around here, whether it's on podcast, for those of you that may be on listening, I am showing a picture of a screenshot of something that I did. And this is a bonus recording today. This is, I've already done one recording today. So here on this other recording that I'm kind of doing on my own free time, I like to kind of mess around with certain things. And this is something that I know you guys like to see. So this is a text, obviously, from myself and him, which as something pops up from William Reed, pretty bad timing. But yeah, so there was our conversation on a couple of days ago. As you can see, he says it's going to be Sunday. So I thought it was going to be tomorrow. instead of today, but that's fine. We've got the commitment. And look, I do that because one thing I know is I'm going to have new people watching every time I'm live. So it's important to me for credibility purposes to let people know that, like, I'm not BSing. I'm not just pretending like, and I'm not pretending like it's some huge deal that I talk to these guys. I put in the work to do that, but I just want you guys to know that I'm never going to steer you wrong. I'm never going to lie. I'm always going to be upfront and honest about stuff. So anyway, this guy had offers from North Carolina and a bunch of other spots. So he only had 19 catches for 331 yards last year, but he's got a ton of upside. When he was at Vanderbilt, man, he was pretty good, I think. You know, he had to transfer out, but like you look at his high school stuff, 1,100 yards, 13 touchdowns, 60 catches. He's a big kid, obviously 6'2", and what he does well, in my opinion, on film is the way he adjusts the balls when it's in flight. He's got really good body control. Certainly probably more of a possession type receiver, in my opinion. He's a tough tackle. And once, like, he does have a little wiggle in his game. So whenever he does catch the ball, like on bubbles or out in space, he can do a couple different things. So certainly I think this is a guy that you can look at and say, okay, this is going to be somebody that can develop into something, especially since they're knocking these JUCO years off, which is great. I think this is great, and these guys can earn more money that way too. And so I love his name, by the way. If you go look at his stuff on X, by the way, too, on X, if you look at It's Always Open is the name on X. He's good, man. He really does have some talent there. I don't know what his impact is going to be this year, but man, 6'2", 200 pounds, he's going to make some type of impact. Whether that's as a third or fourth receiver, I think he'll get on the field, and I certainly think he's going to make an impact this year. So keep watching for him as we move through. As I keep getting messages from other people. Okay, so William Reed. Let's talk about William Reed, who is my favorite player in the portal. I'm just going to be honest. This guy is truly one of the most nasty, physical beast of an offensive lineman. I thought I turned that down. Oh, we got another commitment while I'm live here. Why does this happen to me all the time? Let's see. Somebody committed? Who? Somebody's saying that there's a commitment here. It's kind of throwing me off my game a little bit. Anyway, so Reed is, if there is one, I'll get to it. Somebody let me know who it is in the chat, and I'll check it out and try to do this live. Maybe I am good luck. That's possible. For those who listen on podcast, what has been happening here lately while I've been live, we have been getting commitments left and right. So I'll deal with that after I talk about Reed here. So William Reed is a tackle out of Princeton, the Ivy League school, who is 6'5", 300 pounds, or whatever it is now. I can't remember. I don't know, have the exact numbers in front of me. But he's super athletic and is absolutely nasty physical. Pancake. I love his tape. Like, out of all the linemen in the portal, all of them, outside of the very top, he, in my opinion, would make the biggest impact at West Virginia. He is so good. Like, you go look at William Reed's tape. He reminds me of Zach Frazier and a little bit of Wyatt Milam in there. Because he's a tackle. He's not a center. But you take the violent hands of Zach Frazier. Like, if you go watch the play where Zach Frazier broke his leg, if you pay attention, he slaps the nose tackle from Baylor out of the way with Paul. Pow! Knocks him out of the way because he was pulling on that play. That's what William Reed gives you. he smacks he absolutely destroys people with his hands, and then drives them down into the dirt. And then when he pulls, or whenever he has to run out, like from the right tackle spot, a lot of times they'll send him on like these little bubble blocking scheme bubbles. I don't even know what you call it, where he's got to run 5 or 6 steps to his right or his left. Man, that dude can move and is truly an athletic phenom. He's got Arizona State, he's got Georgia Tech, he's got Virginia, and others. Like, everybody wants him, and he's in Morgantown today. And they've been honest with him. Like, in our conversations, they've been really honest with him. I told him I wouldn't report what we talked about, so I'm not going to do that. But the coaches, I can say this, the coaches have been very honest with him about where he stands, and it's it's good. Like, if William Reed comes to West Virginia, I'll be shocked if he wasn't a starter. That's how confident I am in what I've seen from him and just everything he brings to the table. He's not a high school kid. He is a college player from the Ivy League, Princeton. So it's not exactly group of 5, but it's a little bit lower. But if you look at just with your eyeballs, if you look at what he does, and he's played against higher competition, he dominates. It doesn't matter who they play against, he dominates them. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, let's talk a little bit more about it. And I don't know why people were spamming commitment in the chat there. I haven't seen anything yet, but we'll try to figure it out on this episode of Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by, of course, my favorite, Game Time. Attending the new 12-team playoff is incredible. It's a great experience that brings fans together like never before. I remember the excitement of past playoff games and can't wait to make new memories with the updated format and extra teams involved. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Recently, I used Game Time Picks to find tickets for an upcoming game. Browsing through the deals was a breeze, and I found great value for all kinds of seats around the venue. The super deal in particular that stood out the best for the event that I could see was the one with the seats that you could look at in the app with the panoramic view before you buy. Also, toggle on the all-in pricing feature. No cost, all costs will be up front, no surprise fees at checkout. And then there's also the on-time ticket delivery and lowest price guarantee, which gives you complete peace of mind. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create the account. Redeem the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. And download the Game Time app. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And ask yourself this: what time is it? It's game time. In segment 3, we drink Dr. P, okay? Because segment 2, I didn't have a do, so we're going to do Dr. Pepper. It's game time, John. All right, so here we go. I was going to go through this list, and then I think some people kind of got me off track here. I will check back in the comments. I'm not on the screen where comments are, but I will see if there's any commits as we go. On the 10th, we got Colorado State linebacker Chase Wilson, who, by the way, if you weren't here yesterday, I'm going to tell you this right now. I am extremely, extremely impressed with Chase Wilson. This is a leader. There's all kinds of video on him at Colorado State. Like, you can tell he loves it there. And it's a big deal to him to be a leader wherever he's at. Like, go watch some of his film, like whether it's him speaking after games, during practice. You can tell he was the leader of that defense. He's athletic enough to get around the edge to make sacks. He's good enough in coverage to do that. He's not bad at it. He's good in coverage, like above average in coverage. Like he's going to be good in that, not bad, which is what we need. And he's just a great overall linebacker. That's going to be a 3-down backer. You're not going to have to move him out on 3rd down for passing downs. Like, yes, he can stick around. He can pass rush on 1st down. He can stop the run on 2nd down, and he can cover the pass on 3rd down or whichever. Like, I love the kid. I think he's the most underrated signing that nobody talks about so far. I love it. And I know I'm like really much a homer, and a lot of these I love, but I just think they're doing a good job in the portal. I'm not just shooting smoke here. Like, these guys know what they're doing. They just took Jacksonville State from the FCS to Division I to Conference Championship inside 2 years. The first year was in FCS, 2 years in FBS Conference Champs with an FCS roster and some other guys. And then, like, everybody in the country wants all their guys now. Everybody that they have. If Huff, the quarterback, was available, he'd be here in Morgantown. That's how good he was there. The running back was number 2 or 3 in the country in rushing last year. They just had a right tackle that went to Arizona or Washington or somewhere out west just now yesterday and signed there. They had 4 guys on the back end that I can tell, and a linebacker. They've got a defensive lineman that's going to go Power 5. They got a safety that went to Auburn, like I said. They've got another safety that came here. They got a corner that came here. They got another safety in Davis that went to Northwestern. Like, they develop talent. They know talent. They evaluate it. I have no doubts that what we're getting here in the portal is going to work for us, and I just need you to believe that. That's where I'm at with it. That's where I'm getting fired up. Get fired up. You don't want me to get fired up tonight. All right. So, obviously, Justin Harrington out of Washington was a big pickup yesterday, and a guy, like I said, high risk, high reward. Been injured a lot. He's a guy that, if he works out, could be the best safety in the Big 12. I don't think that's a stretch. This is a guy who's a starter at Oklahoma. You know what I mean? Like, he was their starter and performed so well that they were willing to pay him to stay. Like, after I spoke with some people, like, they wanted him bad in 23 before the knee happened. So, unfortunately, he went to Washington and didn't get a lot of playing time for whatever reason. Don't know what that was. So, like I say, high risk, high reward. If he can go back to that 2023 mold, look out. Especially with Fred Perry back there with him. Oh, my God. Like, we could have the best tandem in the league, guys. Here's another one. Northern Iowa running back Ty Edwards committed on the 10th. 1,000-yard back at Northern Iowa. This is C.J. Donaldson part 2.0. That's what this is. Like, this is a guy that 1,000-yard rusher at Northern Iowa, 6'4", 230 pounds, probably touches 4.5, maybe 4.4 on the gun, like on the radar. Go watch the tape. This guy is fast, man, and really just overall can. I can't say that on here, but he can eat and get right. So I look at Ty Edwards is another one that. Let's say that Jaheim doesn't play like he's supposed. I'm not saying he would do this, but let's say Jaheim ain't up to snuff or whatever. Ty Edwards was coming for that job. Like, he's going to be a guy you're going to have to watch out for, just like the other guy, LJ Turner. Okay, so before that, Justin Terry obviously withdrew his name from the portal. That was a big one. Then Kimo Makali Ole, right, committed yesterday. The LSU transfer that we are now finding out was going to be moved back to guard. So he's not going to be defensive tackle. So there's another interesting piece on the O-line, really strong piece. Don't know why he didn't play O-line at LSU. Maybe they felt like they were good there. But he was a highly rated 4-star guy coming out of high school, 3-star, 4-star. Can't remember, but LSU wanted him. So he had to be, there's got to be something they feel like they could salvage there. Then what I think will be one of the best corners in the Big 12, led the nation in pass breakups with 14. Had 4 interceptions at Nevada. Michael Coach Jr. is a guy with one year left, unfortunately. But, and look, here he is. He's here. That same day, Devontae Golden Nelson supposedly committed, but that's another thing today we didn't talk about. But people were saying that didn't happen now. So we have to mark that one off the list. Devontae Golden Nelson, at least until there's another announcement. But I've heard that he was mad that got out. So take that for what you will. The 8th was a big day. 3 commitments. All 3 came from in the secondary. You had Derek Carter, obviously Jordan Walker, and then you had Fred Perry. Derek Carter is the one that I'm least – I'm not saying he's bad at all. I know he had some nice stats at Jack State. I don't know if he's coming in here to be a starter or a depth piece, but he's certainly here to help implement that hard edge culture. And maybe he'll start. Maybe he'll be a great player. I don't know. I didn't get a good eval on him, unfortunately. I just didn't have time because I was so excited about Perry and Walker that I spent most of my time prepping those guys that day. And I hope that don't come back to bite me someday. But Jordan Walker and Fred Perry are incredibly talented safeties both. And especially Perry could have went anywhere he wanted to go. Outside of like Alabama or Ohio State, maybe. But like he could have went anywhere. So, that was a big one. You had the Pascuzzi pickup, who's a big blocking tight end, who wants to catch it a little more, kind of like Traylon Davis. That was on the 6th. You had another Jack State guy. This is the biggest offensive pickup maybe so far in Cam Bond. I seen somebody in the comments earlier talking about Cam Bond. Look, this guy, man, is a number 1 receiver. I believe it. He'll be our number 1 receiver. At worst, number 2 receiver. Gosh, that was a big fly. That is for those of you listening on podcasts, the big fly just tried to attack me. So I love Cam. I think he's great as well. So that's as far down the list as I'm going to get on this episode. But as you can see, there's a lot going on. A lot of transfers. I couldn't even get through them all. People were saying it's a high school commit tonight. So I will see what's going on there. But yeah, so a lot going on, as like I said, and I know I already just said that, but I got a little taken off there because I keep getting texts from players and I want to see what they're saying. So I'll get off here and have my chats, but I'll update you more tomorrow on what's going on. Hopefully we get William Reed. Like I said, I think he's the very best tackle out there. And when you get done, go check out William Reed from Princeton, the Ivy League school. You'll watch him on film, and you'll be absolutely blown away by that dude on tape. I think he'll be the starting tackle for West Virginia, left or right side next year. It doesn't matter if he commits. So let's will that into existence. If he commits tomorrow, you'll see me on here with a party going on because I feel like he's the one piece. Look at it like this. Livingston, I think, is a Power 5 center. I think he's good. I think Xavier Bosley, you can put him left or right, wherever you want. That's a former freshman All-American. I think he's going to be great. I do. Young Bear was brought in to start. That's just what it is. We're still missing a right tackle, right? And some other spots are kind of up. Nick Cray possibly is, something that I think he's got a shot to really play and start. Absolutely. Then you got Robby Martin, he's young, but certainly could come in and push. And I may be missing 1 or 2 guys, but William Reed is very much needed for this offensive line to really be solidified. And he is a run blocking monster. So we need it. We got to will it in. I've tried to help him with as much fan support as I could. But if I give you guys his XAT, will you do me a big favor? Will you go blow him up right now and tell him how much we want him? So it's at Will Reed 44. At Will Reed 44. And while you're there, go watch his tape. Because it's impressive. But everybody go over there. My confidence for Will Reed is we're still talking. But I'll say this. West Virginia is firmly in the mix. I said 9 out of 10 for Donovan Green, and he went to LSU, So One thing I can report about Will, because it's already out there, is he's still got Arizona State to visit. Guys, they just went to the playoff. You don't think I'm going to be scared when he goes there and gets that energy? They're on fire right now at Arizona State. Like, I don't want him to go there. I'm scared to death of him to go there. So, just like Donovan Green, I didn't want him to go to LSU. I don't want Will Reed to go to Arizona State, which is why I was hoping West Virginia would knock his socks off today. And they're still trying. They're supposed to be at dinner right now, so we'll see what's going on. They're supposed to be having dinner with the coaches, so we'll see. I'll come back tomorrow and update you guys if I can give you a better competence meter. Right now, I would say 6 out of 10. I think he said it's the best facilities he's ever seen. He thinks the staff is awesome. It's all down to coaching fit and is he going to start for him? Like, he has to be a starter wherever he goes in his mind. Like, and he would be here. Like, it's not even a question. But, coaches aren't going to just say, yeah, you're the starter. Not everywhere. Some places will, but our coaches won't. So just read between the lines the best you can. But I will see you guys tomorrow. I've already gone over. I appreciate you guys for everything you do for me. If you're new around here, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on so you know when I go live. That's big. And I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We talk about your team every day. Make Locked On Big 12 your second listen, though, if you can. Drake Toll pulls no punches when it comes to talking about conference realignment. And boy, does he represent the Big 12 well. Check him out if you like Big 12 content. I'm here for the Mountaineers. I'm here for you. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night, guys.